What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylin Milburn, and for today's presentation, we're going to be talking about family violence in the urban setting. So, family violence in the urban setting, what family violence is, that's when somebody in your family, doesn't matter if it's your parents or one of your siblings, and that's when they're just messing with you nonstop, whether it be physical abuse, emotional abuse, or financial abuse. They're just doing something to mess with you because they're doing it so they can control you. They don't want they don't want a partner, they don't want a sibling, they don't want anything to do with you except to control you. They want to control your life. And family system setting is a way that I can see your family and how it's connected and how it works. But we're going to get into that more deeper into the slideshow presentation. So, what is family violence? And it's considered to be any form of abuse, mistreatment, or neglect to anybody in your family. And like I said, it can be a physical, emotional, or financial. They're just doing it for a way so they can control you, take advantage of you, and they want you to feel like they can't live without them. So for the agenda, we're gonna go over the social issue and how it's connected to the urban areas. We're gonna be applying the theory, and we're gonna be talking about it, having a discussion, and then we're gonna go over policies and programs that address the issue. So the first reason why it happens for the social issue is because they have in there's a cycle of violence in the family. It can be passed down from generation to generation to generation, ending where you were at now because uh, maybe one of your parents, when they got in trouble, they got whooped, beat, however you want to call it, and now as they're an adult, they're doing the same thing to their kids because they think that's the only way to correct them when they're wrong is to beat them with physical abuse. Or they could have low socioeconomic status, and that means they could have like a good job in a good neighborhood with a good house and everything, and they're like a nobody knows them, and they just feel bad. Or they could be have like a good job and a good house in a good neighborhood, but they're only making minimum wage when they're supposed to be higher. They know they're worth more, and now they're just mad and taking their anger out on anybody that they can. Some more issues why it can happen is because they can be stressed out. Whether they be stressed out at home or at work or out with their buddies, stress causes imbalances to your brain just like drugs do, and it can mess with you and make you not yourself. And then you have social isolation and low community embeddedness. And most people get social isolation and being lonely confused and mixed up. Social isolation is when you're by yourself because you don't have anybody else in your life that wants to talk to you. You have no friends, family's not there around. You're only going to work and going to home into work. And when you're lonely, you can have people who you want to talk to. You have people who you hang out with. But when you're hanging out with and when you're talking to them, you don't feel like there's a connection there. You feel like you're just going through the motions, and there's just no reason for you to be out. That person doesn't really feel it no more. You guys don't connect no more. That's being lonely. Another social issue of how it could happen, they could have personality problems and psychopathology. And if that's the case, you really can't like be upset with them, because at this point that's a mental illness. Something is actually wrong with them, and then it's not their fault. It's just the car they would deal with. Next is alcohol and drug problems or abuse. They can have an alcohol and drug problem, and in the slightest little tick can make them upset, and then boom, violence ensues. So you can be having a good day, you go into the bar, you have a drink, you do your drugs, whatever you want to do. But now everything in your system, your brain's messed up, you're not thinking right. Somebody might say something to you and it can tick you off, and then boom, violence. Or it can go the opposite way, where you can't score, you can't get no alcohol, you can't get no drugs, and now you're upset, you're on edge because you had a long day and you can't do anything. And as soon as somebody says something to you, you pop off. So now there are 8 different theories, models, perspective, and explanations when it comes down to it that you guys can use when you're looking at family violence. And the theories are, you have resource theory, you have an ecological model, an exchange model, a patriarchy explanation, a socio-biological perspective, an economic model, and a socio-cultural explanation. But the one we're going to use and the one we're going to talk about for this particular presentation is the family system theory. And like I said before, this theory makes it so I can see in your family who has the most positive influence, the negative influence, who is listened to the most, who doesn't really get listened to. I can see who's causing this family violence and why they're doing it. It gives me a way that I can see everything in your family, because everything is connected through a web. And I chose this theory because, like I just said, it allows me to see the whole family and everything, and find out who's causing the family violence, and it allows me to come up with a reason why they're doing it, or why I think they're doing it, and then I can come up with an intervention to see if we can help it or stop. And family violence can affect the family in multiple different ways. Whether it's the kids and all they know is when they have a disagreement, all they know is I'm gonna hit you, or we're gonna fight, or we're gonna argue and just yell our heads off. That's not good. That's not the way people handle stuff. That's not the way stuff is supposed to be handled. But that's all they see at home, that's all they know. Or it could cause the family to break up, divorce, or it can cause them death. And that's what we don't want. So policies and programs on how to slow down and try to stop family violence. So once we have a crisis line, and if you're in a situation where you need to call, please call. Because we don't want it to happen where we're in a situation where we waited too late to get you and there's nothing we can do about it. And when you call the crisis hotline, there's going to be trained professionals there waiting to listen to you and waiting to give you advice if you want to listen to it. Then we have shelters for victims. Get out if you can when he or she's at work, if they're visiting somebody, if they're just out for the day. If you can leave, if you can find an out, take it. because we rather you leave a toxic relationship rather than something worse, bad happens. And there are multiple different shelters for women or kids, or women and kids. And the next policy and program there is you can remove yourself or the offender from the situation. Like I said, you can leave whenever they're not home, or if they're home and you want to leave, call somebody to help you pack and make sure you're safe, make sure nothing goes on, and you guys can get in and leave. Or you can call the cops and hopefully they will figure out the situation, kick the offender out, and you can go get a restraining order so they won't come back, and you can have that to protect you, hopefully. So we're going to go over the summary, what we learned today, what we went over. So we went over family violence and what it is and how it connects to the urban community, the urban settings, urban system. We went over the different system you can use if needed in that family violence setting. And then we also went over different policies and programs that were created to help slow down or stop family violence. And these are my references. All right, everybody. Well, my name was Kaylin Milburn, and I appreciate you for listening to my presentation on family violence.